Texas A&M at Old Mississippi. And this is just like all the other games we've talked about this week. Ole Miss, you are a top 10 team with one loss. You got a huge game with Georgia looming. You have beaten LSU. You are tied potentially for the division championship should LSU beat Alabama this week. Can you prove to everyone that you belong? They didn't play a great game against Auburn on the road, but they did what they needed to do to win that game. This is a Texas A&M defensive line that can stop the run. This is an Ole Miss team that is generally goes as their running game goes. If they win, if they run the football like they did against LSU, they win the game. If they don't run the football like they did against Alabama, they weren't really in that game. This is 3-point spread at home. They're begging you to take Ole Miss. Vegas really likes A&M to play well in this game. I think the two coaches absolutely hate each other. I think Lane Kiffin is taking incredibly awesome passive-aggressive shots at Jimbo Fisher the entire week, which sometimes doesn't play well for him, but also sometimes means he's very confident in his team. I think Jaxson Dart's ability to run the football off script is the difference. This is a game for Ole Miss to prove to everybody that they belong in the top 10. You cannot lose at home to a Texas A&M team with a worse quarterback and a worse offense and a bigger culture problem and a team that's trying to fire its coach. You just can't. You can't do it in the SEC.
100% agree with you. I think let's also talk about A&M's struggles on the road. They have been very bad on the road the last couple years. And so now you're going into Oxford, where I'm pretty confident Oxford's going to be ready for this one. It's a big moment for Ole Miss to go into the month of November with a realistic shot to win the SEC West. So next week's game against Georgia is significant, but you got to get this one first if you're Ole Miss. I think, some credit for I think I would agree with you, like Dart's mobility against A&M's defensive front, how well Judkins plays too. I mean, Ole Miss has been running the ball better. Over 100 yards for Judkins in 3 out of the last 4 games. I think some other credit, though, goes to the Ole Miss defense, though. And that's kind of the reason why I like them to win this game. They've held their last 3 opponents to less than 300 yards and under 5 yards per play, 30 sacks. They're not too far behind Texas A&M. Now, I know that's Arkansas, Auburn, and Vanderbilt, but it does seem like this defense is trending in the right direction for Lane Kiffin. So I think between the struggles that A&M has had on the road, improved Ole Miss defense, Dart and Judkins with everything to play for here, and Texas A&M hasn't scored an offensive touchdown going back to in the second half since the game against Auburn now. There's a lot of reasons here to like the Rebels to hold serve at home. So I know what you're saying about the spread. Some of us might be on Ole Miss.
Okay. All right. Okay. Can you run the football against a very good defensive front? Tennessee was able to do it, and they won the game, but it was still a absolute battle at home. Hostile environment, Neyland Stadium, whole deal. Ole Miss, again, are you a top 10 team? Show us this weekend against a team that is teetering on the brink with quarterback questions, head coach questions, offense questions. You are the better team with the better quarterback, maybe the better defense, the better offensive scheme, and you're at home. You got to prove to us that you belong. And this is one of those where I agree with you. I think they do. So far, this Ole Miss team has passed all their tests. And that Tulane game aside, the Alabama game is what it is, but everything else, they've passed the test. And this is another big one for Ole Miss. And then they can focus on what could be a monstrous showdown, depending on what happens in the LSU-Alabama game. So,
well, to your point, Lane Kiffin does seem very confident. That did not work out well for him against Alabama. So it would not sit well probably with a week of big talk, I guess, and then or subtle shots, and then to lose to A&M. So
get your popcorn ready.